Okay, so we finally made it over to Photoshop. This is my go-to for doing digital art. Many times when I'm going to do a drawing, I will draw it first in pencil or ink and then scan it and bring it into Photoshop. But in this case, this is going to be a fully digital piece, so everything's going to happen here. I did the drawing already, but I'm going to show you the steps that I went through. So again, I'm working with an actress. I have to capture her likeness. So I combed through a lot of references online, came up with some photos that I liked. I love the position of her face here. Some of the rim lighting is kind of nice, but I don't like the pose or what she's wearing. She had a leather jacket that she had on during the show that I really liked. I found some shots of her in a position close to what I wanted, wearing the wrong jacket, but it gave me a sense of the lighting and some of the folds. And here's the actual leather jacket. So I'm kind of layering all these different pieces of reference. In some cases, I may have to shoot reference separately for the body, hire a model or have a family member pose. But in this case, I'm just going to piece things together. I call this Frankensteining Reference together. I like the fact that she had these droopy sleeves because she was always kind of hiding stuff. I want this to be as much of a conceptual portrait as it is a literal portrait of her. So this is the stage now where I start going in, start sketching using the references that I put together. I'm also going to change the background, by the way, too. So let's just drop a white layer over this so we can hide my reference and you can see what the drawing ended up looking like. So again, this is a fully digital drawing based on the poses and the references that you saw there. I left the background blank so I can manipulate it and move it around. Once I had the basic drawing here, I also added the plaid for her skirt, so that way I could paint on top of it and not have to redraw the plaid over and over again. Some texture for her sweater in here. And then I drew the background. So in the show, she has a place in her subconscious she calls the underground. Is sort of where all her personalities hang out. It's this really dark, weird place with strange lighting, and so it's like an old warehouse kind of. So I wanted to imply that by having this brick wall with the plaster kind of crumbling. It just makes a nice grungy backdrop. And then on top of this, I was going to have a real subtle painting of the symbol for the London Underground, just to hint at the underground that we get in the show. So this would be my underdrawing. Again, sometimes it might be a pencil drawing that I scan to get to this stage. In this case, fully digital using Photoshop brushes. Now, I'm not quite sure what colors I want to use at this stage, so I'm going to have to do some color research. You saw this earlier in the video. This is my color references that I pulled from screenshots from the show, but I'm still a little confused as to what I want to do because there's a lot of cool colors here, but I mean, I got to have a starting point. So I will do a color study. So here's a flattened, smaller version of my digital drawing that you saw earlier. And I'm going to start playing on top of this using my color references. So here's something I came up with. Wasn't happy with it. I tend to like bland colors, but this is too bland even for me. I thought, oh, well, it's kind of sepia down there. But again, I like the value pattern, but there's not enough interest in the colors. It's again, bland, looks like an Old West thing, and Doom Patrol's not about the Old West, so passed on that one. I do like the little bits of turquoise I have in the secondary light here, so I wanted to play with that some more. Here's sort of the opposite of the sepia ones, more blues. I like this better, kind of playing with complements. I got the light cyan colors, the darker blues, and then this faint, warm edge light there, a little brighter on the face to really pop that focal point. I'm pretty happy with this. I'm considering this one. And then this one as well. It's taking that sepia approach but adding a little more color. So I got some turquoise and aqua going on in the secondary light. Nice bright rim light to pop her away from the background. And I like how her face stands out as well. So these last two, this one and this one, I'm sort of happy with. But I'm going to do another one. I was on the internet and I found a really cool photo, which I'm not going to show here because the photo doesn't belong to me, but these are the colors that I pulled off of it. It's kind of a greenish background with a red foreground, which for me is really pushing it since I'm more of a value guy than a color guy, but let's take these colors and see what'll happen. I start very broad. In this case, I think I'm going to use the paint bucket tool, suck up some of this color here. Which one do I want to use? Try that one. And I'm just going to dump it over the whole thing. So I have a starting point. Let's do colors here. I'm going to grab my stylus. I'm going to paint in the bricks. I want those to be a little darker than that crumbling plaster. So these are colors that I just pulled directly from that photo that I'm not showing you. These will be my base tones. So I'm trying to be as messy as possible here. It's not like I have to try, but I don't like when things are too neat at this stage. The thing that I like about Photoshop is it's very efficient and you can do certain things very quickly. The thing I don't like about most digital programs is they tend to make things too neat, too nice. And I want this to look more like a natural watercolor where there's imperfections and so forth. And so let's get the mortar in for the bricks here. And I may change this, but this is what I'm doing for now. And I'm going to put all my main interesting colors in the foreground of the character. So I'm going to keep this sort of low-key, desaturated, but still have some interesting variations in the tone. There we got that. Let's see. There's some lighter. What did I just do? I just undid a lot of stuff here. There we go. This is going to happen a lot. Let's lower the saturation. Just put some random splotches here in the background. Again, I like to rough things up, not be too neat. And once in a while I'm glancing over at my layers to make sure I'm not screwing things up. Alright, let's raise the opacity a bit. Let's make the brush smaller and let's start working on her. Let's get some just gonna paint her this color here. I think that's what my idea was. So this is gonna sort of be her mid-tone. I'm gonna have a greenish aqua colored light shining on her. Let's get the slightly brighter areas. I'll lower our opacity a little bit. So the light's coming from the left side here. So I don't have any lighting reference. The references I pieced together had light sources coming from all different directions, so I can't look at those. I will be going back and looking at the references for her face and the texture on the jacket when the time comes, but for now, I'm just chunking in these big broad colors. Her jacket's black, if you remember. So I'm gonna get some darks in there. This side's facing away from the light source. Her skirt here too. So a lot of the natural color, the actual local colors of this costume and her skin may not even show up in this painting. It's all going to be kind of this manufactured weird lighting. So up the opacity a little more, get some real darks in there. So now I'm starting to build a little contrast, so you can see the background's going to be not quite as dark as the darkest darks on her, and not quite as light as the lightest lights. I'm going to keep all that stuff in the character so she comes forward. The leggings there, just make them super dark. I have her darker as she goes down. She's got those weird baggy sleeves. I kind of hinted at her hands, but we're really not going to see much of those. Her hair is going to be a nice framing device for her face. If we zoom in here, we'll keep that dark as if the light's not hitting it directly, and then we can pop some brights into her face. Got her collar there, which she wasn't wearing in the reference I had. I had to pull that from another picture. Got her tattoo. Nope, John. Hit the right hotkey. There we go. Let's darken up her eye makeup. This character is called Hammerhead, the personality that she turns into, and she has some pretty heavy eye makeup, and I'm going to probably exaggerate that even more. And then we go over, zoom out again. this is going to be my brightest highlight color here, so let's grab that. I'll start punching that in. Let's lower the opacity a bit though. Big broad brush, broad strokes. Nothing here. No detail. Just trying to get my basic value pattern and kind of place these colors where they're going to go. Now you notice, let's just get her hair, get that nice and dark. So I'm eyedroppering these colors and grabbing them, repainting stuff. Alright, let's grab that dark color again. I want to make sure I have a nice dark edge between the lit side of her and the dark side, because you notice I got these reds here. I haven't even touched them yet because that's going to be a secondary light that's going to really either make or break this painting. It's either going to look really cool or it's going to look really screwed up. So let's see what I can do. Let's start with a darker red. The opacity is kind of low, which is fine. I'll raise it a little bit. And this is going to be a light coming in from the back. Now her hair is soft and fluffy, so I'm going to just brush that in lightly. The leather jacket is going to have crisper edges and it's going to have some sparkly studs there. So I'm going to push a little harder. Get it there, and then I'm going to have that light fade off as it moves down her skirt, as if the light's not hitting it as strongly. A little hit there. Get the brush a little smaller. We'll pop in some harder, stronger reds. And I'm not trying to be neat, because I haven't saved this yet. Hope nothing happens. Let's get a little red in here too, almost like it's leaching out from behind her arm. I drop that so the red's not too intense. That'll separate the light side of her arm from the jacket there. We can cheat the lighting. Let's grab some of that lighter red. Maybe pop in a few wisps of hair on the edge that are grabbing that light. Maybe some of those studs will be reflecting it more strongly. This stage, I don't care. You know, I'm just making it as crazy as possible, because for me, the way I work, it's easier for me to go back and tone something down than it would be to pump it up. Though I have played with the saturation tool in the past. And on this side, maybe I'm going to get some warm tones like in the lips and the nose, around her eyes, just so the front lit side of her body doesn't look completely separate from that bright red. I don't really have any more skin areas there, but maybe in some of the darker shadow areas I'll start off with some reds. I'll probably end up covering them up later, but for now it's kind of a nice touch. Zoom out and take a look at this. I don't know, it could be cool, maybe not, we'll see. Put in some more midtones there. I usually don't use the smudge tool, but in this case I want to just blend some of these chunky bits here, because some of my paint strokes are getting a little distracting. Face looks a little weird from a distance, but that's fine. We're gonna fix it all, right? Everything is fixable. Here I'm going to blend it and kind of feather that light effect into the skirt till it disappears. Maybe I should save this. So Command S. Don't want to be a fool. Alright. Again, kind of define where these lights and darks are going to be on her face. Getting a little more detailed now. May get rid of some of this stuff eventually, but we'll see. Getting into the more definite patterns in her face. Sorry, my voice is trailing off. I'm used to just listening to music while I'm working. Oh, you know what? Since we got this light coming around from the back, let's hit it in the edges of her hair here, like it's filtering past. And we'll help connect the dark and the light side. But we want this to be the brightest edge. This is just a hint of color, so it doesn't feel completely detached. Maybe a little haze coming from underneath her hair there. Can't remember what color eye she has, but in this kind of lighting, I guess it doesn't really matter. Let's grab a super dark color. Grab a little bit of that weird red I put in there. Have I been making weird faces? I have this feeling I've been making weird faces while I'm working. Maybe that'll be the attraction for this video. I didn't come for the art, I came to watch him make weird faces. That's okay. Alright. So far so good, right? I don't think I've broken anything. Pop in a few more values here, and this jacket's gonna have to go a lot darker. I don't know. This might work. The red might be a little bit strong, but I think this is a pretty good starting point. I'm gonna darken down some of this background, so let's change the brush to multiply. And we'll just grab that color with the eyedropper, and we'll lower the opacity way down, so multiply will darken down stuff without losing the detail I already put into it. And we'll go on like a diagonal here. And I'll start going all over the place. Remember, those paint swatches are on a different layer, so I don't want to lose them. And let's see. This part of the underground logo is sort of a bluish color, so we'll grab some of that aqua, and then the rest of it's red, so I'll grab a little bit of that red maybe. Just hinting at the colors. And let's make this brush really big so we can use the texture. Just plunking that stuff down. Get her skirt darker too. Maybe the jacket. So the attention stays on her face, and we'll get some texture in those bricks. Yeah, this is a possibility. I'm liking this so far. We'll see what happens. Let's see what happens if I use our tool here to brighten up those lights that I put in. Can't think of the name of the damn tool because I'm trying to paint. Let's make the brush smaller again. Let's turn off multiply. Let's put it back on normal because I want to put some feathery. Yeah, I do this all the time. Dissolve. Just kind of feather in some lights. And let's go back to dissolve because that's kind of cool for the background. Let's grab a dark color here. Look at that. See that? Dissolve is making little dots, which is nice because it's kind of adding some texture in the background. That's what I like about digital. If I was going to stipple this with a pencil or a pen, it would take me days. Here I can just throw down some dots while I'm talking to you on the internet. So this will be the basis for some of the texture that I eventually work into the background. That's the thing, the colors in the background a little more neutral, less contrast, and now I'm going to have more texture. And so that way she's going to stand out. Her face is going to be very smooth. The hair is going to be very feathery. The leather jacket will have kind of a sheen to it. So the textures are really important in terms of making this look and feel realistic, and also just separating parts out. Let's grab that light color and we'll put some light dots in there too. Yeah, I didn't even know I was going to do this, but here we go. Alright, and Command 0, fill the screen. So, you know, I'm pretty happy with this. Let's save it. Let's turn off my color reference layer. So now I'm kind of between this one, and this one that I just finished. I'm gonna have to think about this. So when I come back, I'll show you how I take it from the color study to the final painting.